What I'm about to share in this video would hopefully transform your mindset when you're scrolling through stuff right here on social media or with your interactions in real life or at work. Okay, so I recently stumbled on a post on LinkedIn. Okay, it was a video post and it was built around a woman who was dressed very provocatively. That means she was sexualized in her videos, right? And it appeared that she was a minister, like a religious leader. She had a mic, she was at a pulpit, and she visibly was, like preaching. And there were scenes where she was laying hands on people. Now, mind you, the people she was laying hands on were men. Okay, now after watching that video, I went and I read the caption, and the caption said something to the effect, and I'm not quoting verbatim, said something to the effect that this is what female ministers do, right? They dress provocatively so as to ensnare, innocent men. All right, now that is a message that we see all over the place. Ordinarily, I wouldn't bat an eyelid, right? Because the discerning ones would know. But then I went back again and I watched the video, and that was what really caught my attention, and that was what sparked the engagement that I had on that particular post. Frame by frame, right? The woman's appearance changed. Was it the complexion? Was it the height? Was it the curves? Even the proportions. They were not the same. But the implication was like it was the same woman. So it was obviously AI generated. And I pointed it out in my comment, right? I said, oh, this is an AI generated video. And the response I got is the crux of what it is that we're about to discuss today. So when I mentioned it, the poster said, nobody cares if it's AI. Please focus on the message, or are you denying that these things happen? You see, right there, that is the problem that we have as a society. This is how misinformation, bias, and manipulation thrive. Not just online, but as I said, in real life and in your workplace. So we are constantly asked to focus on the message while ignoring data that is flawed, exaggerated examples, manipulated visuals, and emotionally charged narratives. But what people do not realize is this: when the foundation is false, there is no way you can trust the message. Okay? This is exactly what happens at work. See, one incident suddenly becomes a pattern. One bad employee becomes, people are lazy. One loud voice becomes, that is how leadership thinks. And one distorted story becomes a culture defining truth. We see this happening all over the place, and that's one of the reasons I do not fall for generalizations. When people come out and say women are like this, men are like this, and oftentimes these generalizations come from one person's experience, and you use it as mantra for everything else. So what then happens is, over time, when things like this happen, these unchecked narratives, they create unnecessary stress, yes, distrust, and that distrust actually leads to psychological unsafety, all right, fear-based decision making, silence instead of dialogue. Discernment is not cynicism. You have to remember that. I always talk about people being discerning. Remember that discernment is not cynicism. Discernment is critical thinking with self-trust. You have to be able to trust in your own ability, in your cognitive ability, and not be moved or swayed by all the emotionally charged and falsehood charged narratives out there. But this is the part that a lot of us do not talk about enough, okay? A lot of people actually do discern, if I have to be very honest. But what they do lack is the confidence to stand by their discernment when they are challenged. You remember I talked about having self-trust? Good. So what these people do is that they just shrink. They begin to second guess themselves, and then they go quiet. They accept narratives that do not sit right just because they want to avoid conflict, or they are not in the mood to talk, right? That is not humility. That is not emotional intelligence at work. That is actually stress or trauma disguised as compliance. True. So I'm passionate about empowerment, mental empowerment, right? And that is the whole thrust of what stress mastery is all about. But empowerment, either personally or professionally, it cannot begin until we begin to question what it is that we consume. Interrogate the source, not just the story, right? Trust your own capacity to observe, to reason, and to conclude and stand firm. Respectfully, of course, when something doesn't add up, and something always doesn't add up. See, we are living in a world now where social media has transcended a lot of imaginations. Right now, we've got AI, the optics, so there's this performative narratives that are being spun all around the place. So discernment is now a workplace wellness skill. So it's not just about confidence, it's not just about communication, but discernment is a workplace wellness skill. Because when people are forced to constantly swallow distorted truths, the body keeps the score. Your body, physical body, and the organization as a body. So stress begins to rise, engagement drops, and resentment builds. You don't need that. I'm saying all this not to discount that misconduct ever happens. What I'm saying is this: refuse to let fabricated or exaggerated examples become weapons that justify bias, justify policy, and also culture. Now, if we want healthier workplaces, we must build, number one, discernment. Number two, psychological safety. Number three, confidence in one's own judgment. This is what true empowerment is. And that is how we actually master stress. Not by ignoring reality, but by refusing to be manipulated by false versions of that reality. So I hope this video would help guide you on your path to discernment. I am Chris. I'm a stress mastery expert, a holistic empowerment coach, and a workplace wellness strategist. If you're just bumping into me the first time, you're welcome. Please, you can follow me, like this video if it resonated, share it, save it, because you might need to come back to it sometime. All right. And if this is not your first time, thank you for consistently watching my videos and supporting this journey. Bye.